if I sell, like I have a shop, let's say a grocery shop, and I'm selling vegetables, foods, and things like that, I have to calculate on the individual that I sell. Let's say I have 20 kilo tomato, I have 14 kg potato, I have this, I have that. You have to calculate all of that, the amount, the capital amount with its profit. Like I sell this 5 ringgit, but I bought it 3 ringgit. When I calculate, I don't just calculate 3 ringgit, my capital. No, I calculate 5 ringgit with my profit. How much I'm gonna sell it. So with your profit, with your capital all together, you calculated, the amount of that is what is define your nisab. But that's the business, right? You buy the goods, you with the hope that you are going to sell them all. So when you are calculating everything. Yes. Just take the capital, yes.
Which is basically your trade assets minus your trade liabilities.
Yes. I know some they do that. Yes. Yes. But no, for me, what I know from the books of fiqh, understanding of the basic of fiqh, is that you have to calculate on all and evaluate all your stuff. Like the man, when Umar ibn Khattab passed by, he did not tell him, okay, evaluate your capital and pay. He said, no, evaluate your goods and find the nisab of the zakah. So if Umar ibn Khattab, the man is obviously ignorant, it means he does not have knowledge. Umar ibn Khattab will not leave him without giving him the details. If there is details indicating that he should only calculate the capital money that he have, he would indicate that, he would explain to him. But he told him that you have to evaluate your goods. When we say evaluate, means in the market. Okay, I'm selling this 5 ringgit in the market. Okay, so you have to calculate everything and then find the amount of nisab and pay the zakah. Services like car wash, yeah.
So there's no inventory.
Yes. Consultant, yes.
In your brain. So how do you calculate the zakah?
How to calculate this, right? Based on your knowledge. Calculate your knowledge.
So how do you quantify that?
Yes. Nice question, Wallahi.
Maybe how much you get at the end of the nisab. How?
Yes.
In that instance, you cannot go to balance sheet.
Yes. You don't have things to say. You are like a consultation and
So how much you charge for
consultation? Yes. Maybe the average of your business revenue, yeah, over the past year.
But you don't net off in terms of your liabilities of that company.
Yeah, you still have to. You have to include. Let's say you have a lawyer, okay, office, for example. Yes, legal firm. Okay, your services is based on the attendance to you. You already have the history from the past year. Let's say, yeah. So you can come with the average. I think this is the way how to calculate it.
But do you net off your rental for your office, your liabilities? You don't?
No, you don't. You still. Yes. No, you don't.
Oh, you don't need to take out all your expenses or anything?
That your expenses, you will, this part of your, when you are calculating, okay, my zakat, you have to finish your expenses first. Then the calculation of your amount comes. Yes. Because you are not going to pay zakat straight before I'm paying my rental, I'm paying my car, I'm paying my children education, and also your loans. Let's say, okay, I own this office, but I take loan to buy this office. So it's actually my office, but I'm still paying loan for that. So after finishing all of that, then comes the calculation of your nisab. Yes, money is left.
So the net best way to calculate it is what's left in your account
Yes,
at the end of the year.
exactly. What the end of the year? Yes,
Where you pay all your expenses.
exactly.
What's left, then you calculate.
That's why those who do it in monthly basis is very difficult. Most likely, it always mixed up. Because easier with 1 year, how year is easier. At the end of the year, you see your balances, how much the balance, and then based on that, you can do your calculation.
But for the grocery shop, I cannot use that method. I have to go based on the inventory.
Yes, different business have different calculation.
Sure, how about the financial institution where the businesses to give out financing? So debt. They're giving out-
Yes,
Islam is haram.
yes,
No, because they use
Yes.
like various contracts. They have like commodity.
Yes, yes, yes.
Like different contracts,
Yes.
right?
So they are the master of these calculations, you know. So I think a same method, you know, you just calculate on the average of your financial year because you have your financial year. So you calculate on the average of your assets, your consultations, your loans, your capitals, and they work a lot with loans. So to them, their capital, it's not, you cannot touch it. It's all, you know, it's all loans, being given loans, and they have loans. So as he said, it's somehow a lot of interest, even though the names are Islamic, but there must be definitely interest and things like that. So Allahu A'lam, I really don't have the knowledge to say how they should calculate, but definitely it should be in a way. When I was preparing a course, I go through in the book of Fiqh Sunnah, the author mentioned something very nice. He say, not for everyone, reading this chapter, zakat does not make haram income halal. Like before all the understanding, someone like do all type of corruption, and then they collect the money and they go the Hajj, go Umrah. You know, they think is Hajj and Umrah will wipe everything. Hajj and Umrah may Allah accept, but it does not make it. So it seems with the the zakat, it's also if the earning is not halal, Allah does not accept it. Allah tayyib la yaqbalu illa tayyib. So these financial institutions is a big topic. I think to know how they calculate, how they do is very hard. I really personally, Allahu A'lam, Allah knows best. Because as I said, it's to understand the system, how it works inside. It's not easy.
A lot of the books on Zakat
Yes.
never mention anything in terms of how to address Zakat.
Yes.
People, they always talk about, on trading.
Thank you for
Yes.
But when it comes to things which are more, services like consultancy
Yes.
or, Islamic banks,
Islamic banks. Yeah.
Islamic financial institutions, doesn't address
That doesn't address this. Yes.
Right.
Subhanallah. Yeah.
Okay, at the end of the day, you call it interest or you call it profit.
Profit.
It's the same.
It's the same thing. The problem is now when it's from Islamic finance now is the high rate of profits they are making. I mean, if I go to the traditional banks, I will get most likely less rate than Islamic banks. But my friend once said, "It's Jannah is expensive, so you go with the Islamic banks as well." Yes,
It's just like
Yes.
from,
Exactly.
Islamic assets and
exactly. Yes. So it's Islamic banking facing a lot of challenges. It's of course, with the challenge of the world's economic as well. There are a lot of challenges for them as well to meet their principles and values and ethics that they uphold as well. So it's a great product, mashallah, they're making. But we have been seeing murabaha, mudaraba for more than 20 years, the same things. So there is no real, revolution to this sector in the best way I think it can be. The topic is, I think, is bigger than me to talk about when it comes to Islamic finance institutions. It's they do conferences and they do research to correct the direction of these institutions. So it's not an easy topic.
Process on Islamic finance.
No, only basic fiqh I do. The Islamic finance, I did my master in Islamic finance, my also PhD as well, but I'm not in that sector. Okay, how is zakat on trade money to be paid? One who possesses merchandise with a nisab for a year should pay zakat on it, the amount of which is a quarter of a tenth of its value. Okay, so this is the zakat. When we find the quarter of tenth, rub'ul ushr. Okay, quarter of tenth means
1/10, 25% or 1/10.
of 100, quarter of 10, 25%. 20%.
Let's say from 10 rupee, 10 ringgit, 10 ringgit,
25, huh?
No, this one is saying quarter of 10.
Quarter of 10 of its values.
10 is 1/10.
Okay, we will come to it. Okay, the period of
Yeah, 0.0025.
Yeah, 2.5%. So it comes back to
2.5. Yes. The period of year does not come into effect unless the inventory constitute a nisab. So once they reach the nisab, always the calculation starts. This is based on Imam Shafi'i calculation. Once reach the nisab, you start the calculation. Before the nisab, if you say, okay, I guarantee, like banks, Islamic banks, or banks in general, they guarantees, okay, they are making that, reaching that profit. So even though the calculation start from the nisab when it's completed. Okay, so 2.5%, the quarter of tenth of its values. Zakat on plants and fruits. Allah has made zakat obligatory on plants and fruits, for He says, O you who believe, spend of the good things which you have earned, and of what which we bring forth from the earth. So anything that the earth grows, in general, it has zakat. Okay, but there will be specifics. We will know now the specific types that Rasulullah mentioned is for the zakat. But then we will have our current time challenges. There are challenges that we will discover, inshallah. During the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, zakat was levied on wheat, barley, dates, and raisins. These are the four types of grains that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam put zakat upon. Abu Burda related from Abu Musa and Mu'adh that when the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, sent the latter to Yemen to teach its inhabitants Islam, he commanded them to levy sadaqah only on wheat, barley, and dates and raisins. So these are the four types that Rasulullah told Mu'adh ibn Jabal to tell the people of Yemen to pay zakat for. He did not ask him to pay zakat for anything else. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari and Mu'adh ibn Jabal narrated that the Messenger of Allah do not take any zakat except on these four crops: barley, wheat, and raisins, and dates. So, but the problem is now, what is the common thing between these four? They can be stored. They can be stored. So anything can be stored that grows from the earth have the zakat. That's the hukum, that's the rule, that's the qaida, that's the general qaida. Now everything can be stored. A lot of things that grows from the earth can be stored. So that's why some of the scholars put even the fruits and vegetables inside the wujub al-zakah. But the original qaida, the original rule, that it's only these 4 types. Even now, the flowers, they are very expensive. They are more expensive than these grains, actually, some types. They even export them, and it's a big business. And they grow from the earth. So they take their as well into the account of zakat. Okay. Zakat was not levied on vegetables or fruit, with the exception of grapes and fresh dates. Rutab. Rasulullah ﷺ, only these 2 types from the fruits that Rasulullah ﷺ, he allowed them for the zakat. Exceptional. That's why there is qiyas where they say, okay, now everything can be stored. So that's why it has the wujub al-zakah. Because also these, yes, by the hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ allowed zakah for them. But why Rasulullah ﷺ allows zakah for them? Because they can be stored later. What do we mean? Grapes can become raisins, and rutab can become dates, like dry dates. So they can be stored. So if Rasulullah ﷺ, we are using the logic of Rasulullah ﷺ, then the things that can be stored in our time now also have the same hukum, have the same ruling. Okay, in the hadith, Rasulullah ﷺ again mentioned that you have no right to do that. The Messenger of Allah, Abdullah ibn al-Mughira, wanted to levy sadaqah on Musa ibn Talha. This has happened after the time of Rasulullah ﷺ, on vegetables. So he told him, you have no right to do that, because Rasulullah ﷺ did not put sadaqah, zakat, on the vegetables. He did not accept to pay zakat for vegetables because Rasulullah ﷺ did not make it compulsory and obligatory in that time. This was after the death of Rasulullah ﷺ. Okay, plants and fruits which were not subject to zakat. Musa ibn Talha says, 5 things which were subject to zakat were mentioned by the Messenger of Allah, upon whom be peace: barley, wheat, salt, a kind of barley having no husk, raisin, and dates. Whatever else in the land produces is not subject to the ushur. It's also reported that Mu'adh did not levy sadaqah on the vegetables. So this is again indicating that these only the types that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned and indicate to Mu'adh ibn Jabal when he went to Yemen. These are the 4 that the grows from the earth that have the zakah. And now he says, our opinion is that there is no zakah on any trees other than palm and grape vines. There is also no zakah on grains other than on which is or can be stored, and no zakah on vegetables. So this is the opinion of Imam Nawawi, rahimahullah, which is the opinion of Imam Shafi'i as well, because he's from the school of Shafi'i. So this is regards the plants and the fruit.
So what does the Hunafa say about this?
The Hunafa always have a different opinion to the most of the times, but I did not quote their opinion here. But when I was reading the Fiqh Sunnah, they had a long discussion regards the plants and fruit. A lot of discussion on Al-Ahnaf understanding. Al-Ahnaf, it was in Iraq. So Iraq is a place where there is a lot of, it's a different environment. And also it's considered as there is a lot of intellect and a lot of discussion. So when they have mas'ala, they have a very precise explanation regards the masail al-fiqhiyya. So it was a long description regards that. So I didn't quote it here. So I focus on the opinion of Imam Nawawi and Imam Shafi'i. So the opinion is if it can be stored, then it has hukm of wujub al-zakah. Zakah. Now he says for olives, our Shafi'iyya view is that there is no zakah on them. There is no zakah on olives. Okay?
But it can be stored.
It can be. This, when I look at this in Fiqh al-Sunnah, Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah, has two opinions regards olives. The first one, when he was in Hijaz. Imam Shafi'i was in Hijaz, in what we call now Saudi. So when he was in Hijaz, he used to say no zakat on olives. When he went to Egypt and migrated to Egypt, and he saw the environment of Egypt, they have olive trees, then he make the wujub for the olives, because there is people they make money of it, they can store it, they have the amount that they can keep for even 2-3 years. So countries like North African, Tunisia, one of the famous countries of exporting the olive, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt. So all these countries, for example, the zakat for olives is wajib on them. But for us here, there is no olives, there is no trees.
But if you're using olive oil,
Yeah, you use, even if you have 500 olive oil, as long as if you are, I mean, you're not doing a business, then it will be different. But the tree does not grow in this country, so it does not have wujub here, wujub al-zakah. Okay, nisab for the plants and fruits. Most of scholars say there is no zakah on plants or fruits until they attain the amount of 5 awsaq. Awsaq, this is the measurement. Furthermore, this becomes applicable only after the chaff, straws, and husk are removed. So it's cleaned, it's only the grains. Okay? Then you can weigh them and see if they reach 5 awsaq. If it's not cleansed of husk, and then amount of zakah would be 10 awsaq for each category. Abu Hurairah reported, the Prophet Muhammad said, there is no sadaqah zakah on which is less than 5 awsaq. Okay, 5 awsaq, 1 wasaq is 60 sa'. Okay. This is like, what's water? Water is water. 1 wasaq is 60 sa'. 1 sa' is 3 to 3.25 kg. 3 kg. Let's say 3 kg. What's that? So nisab of the grains is 900 kg. Okay. If you have 900 kg of these grains, then you have to pay the zakat. So 5 awsaq, the mufrad, this is awsaq is plural, the mufrad wasaq. 1 wasaq is 60 sa'. 60 sa' is 4 mad by the mad of Rasulullah. Rasulullah, when he hold his hand, this is mud of Rasulullah. 4 mads of Rasulullah is called sa'. So 60 sa', 60 times 4, how many mads will be? 240. It will be 3 kg.
times 3 kg.
Okay.
Times 3.
Yes. So 3 kg, the total is 900 kg. If you have 900 kg of grains, then you have to have this is the nisab of the zakah. This is the nisab of zakah. Okay. The zakat due 10% on natural irrigated, means it's been just you planted, and then from the rain it grows. You did not put any extra effort in watering and taking care of it. So this one you have to take 10% of these grains as your zakat. If you use, which is I think mostly now is happening, you have to take care of these plants to grow and to harvest them after that, then it's 5%. 5% of the amount, because you already put effort, the water, and maybe other materials that to grow them and to protect them from harms. So you have spent on these plants. So it's 5% on the plants and fruits that not naturally irrigated. Ibn al-Qayyim discussion on this subject is that the authentic sunnah for the teeth nisab is the hadith from what the heavens water. This is the hadith of Rasulullah, a teeth is due. And from what's watered by irrigation, gharb vessel, a half a teeth, means 5%, as we mentioned. So this is the hadith of Rasulullah, very precise, very direct, straightforward. Some of the nisabs later will come regards the animals, the cattle. It's been said by Abu Bakr as-Siddiq after the return, Rasulullah returned back to Rasulullah. After Rasulullah returned back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But these nisabs, like in this hadith, Rasulullah precisely, he mentioned to the Sahaba radiyallahu anhu. Yes, because you are taking from the grains itself. 10% of these grains.
As in the weight.
Yes, as in the weight. Yeah, not the value. Yeah, as in the weight. Like in oil as well. Because back home we have a big farm of olive. My father have. So after we harvest and finish, the season finish, he will bring everything home. He will take out the one for the zakat. He will go and send it for the zakat. The collectors of zakat, they know who doesn't have olive and who needs, they distribute to them. So you take it from the grains itself, 10% or 5%. Okay, eating of the grains, it's permissible for the owner to eat from the grains, and whatever he consumes will not be included in the quantity subject to the zakah. So let's say while you are preparing and harvest the plants and putting them to wet them, you eat from them or you cook from them, it's permissible. It does not mean you decrease from them and from their zakat. What you eat is permissible. For this is a long-standing custom. In any case, only a small amount is actually eaten. It's the same as an owner of a fruit-bearing tree eating some of its produce. Therefore, the zakah will be estimated on the actual amount after he harvests the curb and husk and remove all the dirt from the grains, means the cleaned one. If not cleaned one, if it's mixed with the husks, with the seeds, with everything, then you will immediately take 5%, half of the grains immediately, because you didn't clean it. If it's cleaned, only the grains, then it's 10%. If it's watered by you, not naturally grows, then you have to pay 5%. If naturally, it's 10%. I don't think now things can grow naturally. It's very hard. We don't have that environment anymore. At least I mean here in Malaysia. Maybe in Yemen or other country can. Okay. Combining grains and fruits, scholars have different points of view in regards of combining various types of grains with one another. The best and the most correct opinion that no two things can be combined to calculate the nisab. As we had the general rule just now earlier, we said the general rule, there is no combining between the categories. The nisab must be considered on every category by itself. This is because there are various of categories and many kinds. Therefore, barley cannot be added to wheat, nor can the latter be added to the former. So it's better. There are opinions that say you can mix them. Means I have 5 types, I can mix them all together, see how much I can reach for the nisab. But the safe side opinion is that make each category separated, because there are many kinds, especially if you are in this environment of grains. Most likely you will have fruits, you have vegetables, and definitely you have different kind of types. You don't know, maybe one day we back to this lifestyle, Allahu Alam. We have to keep up the knowledge of fiqh, because one day we might start to do zakah for grains. Allahu Alam. When zakah is due in plants and fruits, zakah is due on plants when the grains mature and are ready to be rubbed off, and the fruits when it's ripened. Means the fruits are ready, khalas, for the harvest, and the grains are mature and are ready for you to take. So it's in their due time. When it's ready, khalas, this is their time. وَآتُوا, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, وَآتُوا حَقَّهُ يَوْمَ حَصَادِهِ, and give its right on the harvest day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Ma'idah, وَآتُوا حَقَّهُ يَوْمَ حَصَادِهِ, and give its right or give its wajib on the harvest day. Means when you harvest, this is the day where you pay the zakat. I remember I'm coming from a very farm background. So when we were small, my father had big land. It's just empty. He just in the season he would make it for these grains, only for grains. So they will grow. The day when we have the harvest day, it's his most stressful day, because in the same day he has to clean, he has to remove the seed, to separate it and weight it, and immediately take out the zakah. How much is the zakah? Or else he would leave it to the next day, and which is the due day is in the day where he harvests the grains. So the whole day will go through all that process until they have it ready, and then at night they will send the food to the needy. Okay, zakah on honey. Most scholars say that there is no zakah on honey. Some say there is. For one state, there is no authentic tradition concerning zakah on the asal. In Arabic, asal. Al-Shafi'i explains, in my view, no zakah is levied on it because there is no evidence in tradition of sunnah or athar for doing so. I heard recently some they pay zakah for asal, for honey. I don't think there is zakah on honey based on, this is a reference from Fiqh al-Sunnah book, one of the most famous books of fiqh that gather all the four madhahab together and state them one by one. So in most of the scholars' opinion regards honey does not fall under the category of paying zakah, because there is no any tradition or authentic hadith that mentioned that there is zakah on honey. And there were honey in the time of Rasulullah. I mean, Quran mentioned it. Definitely it was in their environment. But there is no mention for zakah on honey. Okay, we stop here inshallah. I think it's 1 already. It's lunchtime. So inshallah we continue after lunchtime on zakat on animals bi-idhnillah ta'ala. Some conditions for the animal zakah. The first one is the animal concerned must attain a nisab. There are certain nisab for animals as well to have, to be able for zakat. They have to be possessed for 1 year. Means you have 1 hawl year, calendar year, to be able to give the zakah from them. And they should have pastured from themselves. Means they go, in Arabic we say al-mar'a. Pastured means they go to the ground, they eat by themselves. If you are grazing them, means you buy the food which is made for these animals and you feed them yourself, then they are not under the category of zakat. Okay, So they are not fulfilling the condition of the zakat. They must be animals that they are gathering from the earth. They're eating by themselves. You are not feeding them or buying the food for them. Okay, zakat on camels. So again, is there any question regards the condition here? The animals, nisab, 1 year, and the condition you are not gazing them, you are not giving them the food yourself. As you know, those who possess animals in big quantity, somehow in some countries it's impossible for them to go by themselves and feed themselves. They have to buy the materials and feed them in order for them to grow, and they can sell them faster. Because if organically by themselves, it will take very long time.
So,
Hmm.
that means if those who own very big farms, they don't need to pay, right? Zakat.
We don't say they cannot pay the zakat, but this is the general rule. Because as I said, some people would make cheat on the Sharia. So that left to individual scenarios, how that happens. As I said, like someone have 100 million, he have the assets of 100 million, but he own like banks and financial institution 150. Doesn't mean that he's poor and he cannot pay the zakat. The same goes with this, looking at the context of how is the farm, how it was provided, what's the environment and all of that, then we can say. But these are general condition for the animals to be said if it's for zakat or not. There is no zakat on camels unless there are 5 of them. So if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, until 4 you don't have any nisab for the zakat on camels. So from 5 and above, you are to pay the zakat. They have been grazing freely and they have been in one's possess for 1 year. When we say 1 year, always we're referring to the Islamic calendar. When the camels are 5, their zakat is 1 sheep. We say in Arabic shah. Not here, shah is a name of a male. Shatun with that marbuta. Okay, so the camels, if there are 4, no zakat on them. 5 you can give 1 shat as sheep for its zakat. The nisab are 5, so 5 and above. When they are 10, their zakat is 2 sheep. So if we have 10 camels, their zakat is to give 2 shat. Thus, every time they increase by 5, the zakat due on them is 1 more sheep. However, when they reach 25, the due zakat is a she camel, bintu makhad or bintu labun. We call bintu labun. The most famous one is bintu labun. Okay, the she camel, which is a year old and starting the second. 1 year old and starting the second. Or a young male camel, which is 2 years and already starting the 3rd year. Okay, so in this arrangement of the zakat, is there hadith indicates the categories like that? No. This was indicated by Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam returned back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he indicates precisely all the zakat of the animals, like what you give, how many, if 25, if 36, even if 100, how much you give on the zakat. Okay, when they reach 36, the zakat due on them is a young she camel, bint labun. When they reach 46, and due zakat is she camel, haqqa, which is already 3 years old and starting the 4th. 3 years old and starting the 4th. So the age change, the name change as well. Okay. The she camel in Arabic we call it naqa. The camel is jamal. Naqa wal Jamal. When they reach 61 and due zakah is 4-year-old camel, 4-year-old camel, already starting is 5th year. Jahza. Okay, still in the camel. When they reach 76, 2 young she camel, which is the Naqa, Bintu Labun, are due. When they are in range of 91 to 120, the zakah is 2 young camels. When the number of camels is above 120, on every 40 young she camel, on which is 1 Bintu Labun is due. So you count on each 40 after the 120. And every 50 above the 120, a young she camel, huqqa, is due. These are the rules concerning the zakah on the camels which were applied by the Khalifa Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu faced the most big fitna in among all the Khalifa. And his fitna was in the zakah, because the Murtaddin, when they left Islam, their beginning of leaving Islam when they stopped paying zakah. This was the beginning. And in most authentic narrators, they say the 3rd quarter of the Arabia Peninsula in that time left Islam. Is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq who brought them back with all this, and he then established the system of the zakat and precisely wrote down what is the zakat for the animals. Zakat on cattle are subject to the zakat provided they are freely grazing, herd, and number 30 at the completion of the hawl. So after 1 hawl, they are 30. The zakah is due a young bull or a young cow, tabi. This is if you have 30 cattle for 1 year. Okay. 30, yes, 30. 30, then you have to give 1. Less than 29, 28, no zakah. When they reach 40, the zakah is a young cow, 2 years old, musinna. When 60, 2 young cows, 1 years old, tabis. So there are 2 young cows, 1 year old, if they reach 60. If you have 60 cows, then you have to give young one, which is 1 year old. When they are 70 cow, the zakah is due on musinna and 1 tabis. So 1 musinna how many old? 2 musinna, and 1 tabi is which is 1 year old. When 80, 2 musinnas. When 90, 3 tabis. When 100, 1 musinna and 2 tabis. When 110, 2 musinna and 2 tabis. And when 120, 3 musinna or 4 tabis. This system is followed on all additional cattle on tabi. On every 40, 1 musinna. Okay, so this is the zakat on the cattle. I found zakat on the cattle is when it comes to the animals, is the most easy one, because to grow a cattle farm is to reach 30. You have a very successful farm. So to reach 30, this is your hawl, mashallah, is great. Okay, zakat on sheep, including goats. So the sheep and the goats are the same in this context. Sheep are subject to zakat when their number reach 40. So if you have 40, say 40 ras, 40 head of sheep, then when the herd counts 40, freely grazing heads at the end of the year. So the condition freely grazing means you are not buying this food and feeding them, because that is costs you. To add cost on you to do the zakat as well will put big burden on you. So there is no zakat if you are feeding them. But if you are grazing them outside, like they go freely, then the zakat on them after 1 year if they reach 40. It's zakat one sheep. This is applicable until the number reaches 120. At which point up to until 200, the zakat is 2 sheep. From 201 to 300, their zakat is 3 sheep. When the number is above 300, 1 additional sheep is added to for each increment of 100. So starting counting from 40, okay, until the 200, up to until 200, until reach 120, at which point up to until 200. Okay, so 40 when the herd counts 40 freely grazing, this is where you start to give 1 sheep. This is applicable for you until you reach 120. So each 40 you have 1 sheep. Each 40 you have 1 sheep. When you reach 120, after that to up to 200, then you start to give 2 sheep. It's from I think when it comes to the people's food, like cows, sheep, you can see that the responsibility of zakah decrease a bit, because it's what people eat. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not burden them more than what they can. What should not be included in zakah? The rights of property owners must be considered when their properties are subjected to zakah. The best items are not to be taken as zakah unless the owners freely permit it. Likewise, the rights of the poor should be considered. You remember the hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told Mu'adh ibn Jabal that you are going to the people of Yemen, invite them to Allah, invite them to Salah, invite them to paying zakah. And then he told him, and be aware of their best wealth or for best assets, not to take it. What Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam means here is that the collectors of zakah, the administrators of zakah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam warn them to be unjust to us. When they come to us, they don't open their eyes on the best assets that we have and they take it. They should be justly taking from our wealth, especially when it comes to like the animals. They don't go and check, oh, this sheep is big one, give it to us. This one, big one, give it to us. So you are hurting me and hurting my farm and being not just to me, like how I was to the poor. So the same as we consider the poor, we consider the rich as well. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constructed Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Prophet Muhammad commands his Sahaba that to be careful when they are collecting the zakah, to be fair in their collection. Zakah on animals and other an'am, cattle. Zakah is not applicable to animals other than the cattle. Thus, there is no zakah on horses, mules, or donkey unless they are used for purpose of trade. So if someone is buying horses and trading in them, this becomes goods, falls under the goods. But if he obtained the horses just he liked to ride the horses, even though the horse maybe cost $60,000-$70,000, there is no zakah on the horses. On the authority of Ali, it's related that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I have exempted you from paying zakah on horses. So horses are not to be paid zakah because they are used as a form of transportation. So there is no zakah on them. Okay. Zakat on the buried treasures and precious minerals, like zakat on rikaz. First, we take rikaz. Rikaz is that at your kampung, for example, you want to dig, for example, for water, or you were just taking stuff, suddenly you find a treasure of gold. Or you were in a vacation or somewhere, you find a treasure, gold. So this treasure, it's for you to take. It's not belong to anyone. It's belong to the earth. You find it just by accident, without any effort. You were not planning, you were not searching, you just by accident. So what is the rules regarded? The rules regard this is al-khumus. There's something called al-khumus. Its zakah is to give al-khumus, 1/5 of this treasure. There is no how, there is no time. Immediately you have to pay it to Bayt Mal al-Muslimin, to pay the zakah, to give to the poor, and you keep the rest. So these rakaz, coming from the word rakaza, it's been put or hidden in Arabic language. It means being hidden and being used in Surah Taha as well. Rikza, sorry, Surah Maryam, say rikza means a slide or slide sound. So if something buried down on under the ground, we call it riks, which is sometimes people do found. I don't know here in Malaysia, huh? Like oil, yeah, oil may be considered riks, right? Like here, do you have such things in your culture? Like people suddenly just find the gold, or you don't have that here? Okay. In, I don't know, maybe in our countries, the geographic, a lot of people find gold. Sometimes they just by accident. Suddenly gold is buried because, like, for example, I talk about Libya, because it was a Roman Empire in what's called Leptis Magna before. So there is a lot of golds and silver being buried on the ground. People even have maps. Sometimes Seraj dig to find the gold. Yeah. So in this case, if someone find the treasure, then they can just pay the khumus, and then after that, the rest of the treasure is for them. So nobody's come to you and say, why you didn't pay the zakah of your rikas? No, this is a treasure. There is no effort in finding, you just find it. Does not belong to anyone. It was buried hundreds of years ago. You take it, you pay the khumus. The khumus, 1/5 of this gold to be given to zakah. Immediately. You keep the gold. If it stays with you 1 year, 1 hawl, then you just apply the rules of zakah as usual.
No, but this is if you follow the fiqh. What about if the ruler of the place, the authority,
And it's theirs.
yeah, they will take it. Museum or the ruler.
Yes. If you can hide it. Depends on the law. I don't know. Depends on the law. In our country and many countries, Bismillah, the door is very. In many countries, if it's gold, you take it freely. But if it's something like artifact, then they will claim it to the museum. But in our country, they will sell it before even the government will be aware of that. So, yes.
The price of gold, or they have to keep
The physical gold, 1/5 of this gold, because a man came to Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anh. I think Ashraf, can you keep the door open? I'm afraid someone hit with the door. It's very lousy. A man came to Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anh. He told him, I found 200 dinars of gold. It's a treasure. He brought it to him. Then he told him, then take the khumus of this and distribute it. Then he give it to Umar ibn Khattab. He immediately take 1/5 of the gold and he distributed in the message to the Muslims. So you take 1/5 of the gold, not the value, 1/5 of the gold. Because it's a big amount, 1/5 consider from that portion, because it comes to you without any effort. It just happens, you find it. Yeah. So it's no effort in it. So you have to give 1/5 to the poor and the needy. Okay. So the amount payable on REX, the amount payable on REX is 1/5 regardless of an nisab, according to Abu Hanifa, Ahmad, and one of the two correct reports of Malik and Shafi'i. So there is ijma'. All the scholars have agreed on the same principle. So most scholars have the same opinion, as we said, on the khumus, which is the treasure that been found without any effort, Okay, who can receive the zakah? We are talking about, we are all eligible to give the zakah, but who can receive the zakah? When we are giving the zakah, who are the asnaf that we always hear of them? Al-fuqara, innama as-sadaqatu lil-fuqara, al-masakin, al-amilina alayha, al-mu'allafati qulubuhum, fi ar-riqab, al-gharimin, fi sabilillah wa ibn as-sabil. Now again, from the first one, al-fuqara. Who is al-faqir? Who is poor? How can we define this is poor and this is miskin? This is no income. For how long? No income for 2 days. Means he only have the income of today. This is what Austin. They live day per day. He say they live the day. Okay, today I work, I get money, I live. Tomorrow I don't work, I don't have. This is faqir. And this is the lowest, is lower than miskin. Miskin little bit, okay. Miskin falls under a lot of us actually masakin now in the society. Means you are living, but you have many debts, you have many issues. Sometimes you're stuck to pay bills, you have this, you have that. This falls under miskin. So this one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put him in the category to economically empower this category of people. Not they are totally poor. No, they have what they live. They make their living, but struggling with many financial issues. Yes.
I saw one definition where they earn income, but they cannot meet more
Yes.
than 50% of their.
Yes, something similar. They make their earning, they earn money, but they cannot meet all their expected expenses. Not 100%. They meet sometimes, and sometimes they don't meet it. So it's no, it's a definition. So very hard to put it in numbers because it's different from like. People who live in Selangor is different than people who live in Perlis. If you want to evaluate the lifestyle and the expenses. So the condition of the person, just a person who make his living, but he's struggling to meet all his expenses. It's hard for them to make their transportation, hard for them to make for example, their own business, hard for them to send their children to schools, struggling to pay this, have many debts. So all this falls under miskin.
Most of us fall this category.
Yes, exactly.
Whether are we happy?
Yes, I think the majority are masakin. Yeah.
Some may want
So,
to stick every
yes, exactly. So the economic empowerment, it means a person is okay, is like earning, having job and making his day. But if the ghani, the rich, wants to give this category of people zakah, is eligible, he can receive. Because what we have, this issue that a lot of people, when someone gives them zakah, they say zakah, no, I have salary, I'm okay. who said maybe you fall under this category. So if something comes to you as a zakah, you have to check if you are miskin, you take. You don't refuse what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to you. So everyone can evaluate themselves. Like, you know, how is your expenses? How do you meet it? The debts that you have. Because in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in one ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah said, تَحْسِبُهُمْ أَغْنِيَاءَ مِنَ التَّعَفُّفِ. There are some people, you look at them, you think they are fine. They don't have any issue. They are sufficient in everything. Because they don't tell people, they don't ask people to give them. So it's us who should realize and recognize them and try to find about their situation.